First up, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Jammu in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir on Tuesday. The PM laid the foundation stones of multiple development projects worth around $4 billion in Jammu. The projects relate to several sectors including health, education, rail, road, aviation, petroleum, civic infrastructure, among others. The PM dedicated to the nation various rail projects in Jammu and Kashmir, including the new rail line between Banihal, Khari, Sumbar, Sangaldan and the newly electrified Baramulla-Srinagar Banihal-Sangaldan section. He also flagged off the first electric train in the valley and also the train service between Sangaldan station and Baramulla station. The event also saw the PM distributing appointment letters to about 1,500 new government recruits of Jammu and Kashmir. Prime Minister Modi also interacted with beneficiaries of various government schemes as part of the Viksit Bharat Viksit Jammu program in Jammu. And addressing a public gathering in Jammu, the PM said, "Love of the people of Kashmir is a great blessing for all of us."
सिर्फ अपने परिवार की सोचने वाले लोग कभी आपके परिवार की चिंता नहीं करेंगे। मुझे संतोष है कि जम्मू कश्मीर को इस परिवारवादी राजनीति से मुक्ति मिल रही है। भाई और बहनों, जम्मू कश्मीर को विकसित बनाने के लिए हमारी सरकार गरीब, किसान, युवा शक्ति और नारी शक्ति पर सबसे ज्यादा फोकस कर रही है।
Another same event, Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha said that under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, incidents of terrorism have been reduced by 75% in the Union Territory of J&K.
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी की दृढ़ राजनीतिक इच्छा शक्ति के कारण 5 अगस्त 2019 को एक ऐसा फैसला हुआ जिसके कारण 7 दशकों की पीड़ा, अन्याय, अलगाववाद, आतंकवाद और भ्रष्टाचार से जम्मू कश्मीर को मुक्त कर इसे सामाजिक आर्थिक विकास के नए रोल मॉडल के रूप में विकसित करने का प्रयास हुआ है।
Let's talk about this further, this development drive that is taking place in Jammu and Kashmir. We have with us senior journalist Aarti Tuku in our studio. Good afternoon to you, Aarti. Welcome to DD India. What do you make of what's been happening in Jammu and Kashmir? Contextualize what's happened today with the perspective of the last 10 years, ever since the Modi government took over, and of course the big inflection point in 2019 when Article 370 was revoked.
Well, I think certainly if you look at the announcements that the Prime Minister made today, it is in the context of his development agenda for Jammu and Kashmir and the vision that he has for Jammu and Kashmir, which he often refers to as the new Jammu and Kashmir, the Naya Jammu and Kashmir. And for that, I think we need to understand what was in Jammu and Kashmir before the Modi government came to power in 2014, but especially before the nullification of Article 370 and 35A in 2019. Jammu and Kashmir was ridden with cross-border terrorism, and it continues to a certain extent even today. But primarily for 33 years, I would say till 2019 actually, Jammu and Kashmir since 1990 till 2019 was conflict ridden, was heavily affected because of the lack of investment due to cross-border terrorism. People did not invest in J&K. People migrated out of Jammu and Kashmir. We had one of the largest exoduses of Kashmiri Hindus from Kashmir Valley. We had people of all sections and all strata of society from Kashmir as well as Jammu moving out of J&K because there was no development, there was hardly any private sector because of the lack of investment in J&K. Now, since 2019, when a paradigm shift was facilitated because of the nullification of Article 370 and 35A. A new chapter for Jammu and Kashmir has started, because because of the decision, the historic decision of 2019 on August 5th that year. The biggest signal was to the separatists who were sponsored by Pakistan. It was also a signal, it was also a loud and clear message to Kashmir-centric political parties who had been running an appeasement politics for 70 years, and also National Conference and PDP, who are almost like dynasties in Kashmir and ran exactly the politics of nepotism, the politics of appeasement, and the politics of soft separatism, which kept the pot boiling in Jammu and Kashmir for a very long time, for almost 70 years. Of course, till 1990 it was a political pot which was boiling, but 1990 till 2019, we saw how violence affected every section of Kashmir society as well as Jammu society. Now, with this development agenda for the last 5 years, I would say, not 10 years, but the last 5 years, I think, have really changed Jammu and Kashmir in a dynamic way, because the youth today, for example, during the Independence Day celebrations last year, we saw massive number of ordinary civilians walking up to the stadium in Kashmir Valley, attending the celebrations, which was almost unthinkable in the last, from 1990 to
Would you say that a larger number of people have a stake in, especially in the valley, in the economy of developing the region itself rather than the economy of terrorism?
See, that's where I was getting to, that we saw massive shift in the last 5 years, because we saw tourists coming in huge numbers after the coronavirus pandemic. For 30 years, tourism industry was almost dead in Kashmir. We hardly saw anyone coming to Kashmir. In fact, the focus had shifted away from Kashmir. People were going to Himachal Pradesh, people were going to Ladakh, people were going to Mata Vaishno Devi as a religious pilgrimage. But Kashmir was a no-go zone. And that has shifted in the last 5 years. We had record number of tourists coming in. We saw, I think, 2 crore tourists going to Kashmir Valley.
Last year, I think.
Last year. So that has changed, and youth who kept migrating out of Jammu and Kashmir in 30 years are now hoping that they can build their careers in J&K with new IITs, with new IIMs, with AIMS, and they can compete.
The kind of projects that the PM has launched today, he's laid foundation stones of several of them. Do you think that not only takes the development and the economy and prosperity imperative forward, but also the strategic one?
Absolutely. Look, the image of Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir in the last 33 years was that of gloom and doom. It was a picture of, terror, violence, conflict, and we had so much negative press about Kashmir across the world.
Because why I ask this question is because there's still a lot of external threat. There's Pakistan on one side, there's China on the other, and they're friends and not friendly with us.
Yes. Well, look, that geostrategic threat will remain there as long as hostilities with Pakistan and China remain.
All the more reason to build Kashmir up further.
Yeah. But the way the policy of Jammu and Kashmir before Modi government came to power was actually going against the interests of the Indian nation. It was going against the interests of people of Jammu and Kashmir. Till 2014, the policy was like, okay, we have to manage that conflict somehow. We did not care about jobs, we did not care about private investment, we did not care about how to actually facilitate conditions and environment for more growth and prosperity. Because growth and prosperity in a way also strengthens your position geostrategically when you have two hostile neighbors.
Do you see a day in Kashmir specifically when there is the goal for 2047 when we complete 100 years to become a developed nation in Jammu and Kashmir, in Kashmir particularly, that A, the promise of reverting to full statehood will be fulfilled, and B, the presence of the armed forces that we have there, that will be significantly reduced.
Well, Home Minister Amit Shah ji has in Parliament openly declared that there will be statehood. Even as, if you ask me my personal opinion, I think Jammu and Kashmir is a frontier state. It is bordered, and we have LOC and LAC with Pakistan as well as China respectively. And from that perspective, you ask me as an analyst, a geopolitical analyst, I would say statehood is the last priority in the bigger scheme of things. I think what is really required is development in Jammu and Kashmir. I think it's important that people have incentives to stay in Jammu and Kashmir instead of vacating that entire union territory and leaving it for the security establishment. I think it's important that society also understands its responsibility to grow that region and make it robust economically, financially, as well as a society and politically also, because that's when the enemy, which is outside our frontiers, will take that as a signal. If you remember history, in fact, 1965 and even in 1971, people of Jammu and Kashmir did not stand with Pakistan. Pakistan was hoping that they will find reception to Pakistani troops in 65 war or 71 war, but there was absolute hostility towards Pakistan. That changed in 1990 when cross-border terrorism erupted in Jammu and Kashmir, and people were supporting, armed
because they were getting money and other things.
Exactly. So that's why I said, the policy, the Kashmir policy before the Modi government came to power was completely skewed and lopsided, and it was against the interests of Indian nation. But now, with a lot of, focus that Prime Minister has put in Jammu and Kashmir, he takes special interest, in fact, in J&K. In the last 10 years, we have seen they have taken so many initiatives. They did crackdown on terror funding, which is huge. NI terror crackdown. We saw massive numbers of arrests. We saw a complete decline in stone pelting incidents. We saw terrorism coming down.
One last quick question for you. Pakistan in complete disarray as it has been of late and continues to be. Has that been a good thing for J&K, or will it remain a good thing with the way things are?
Well, I think Pakistan's stability, many people used to say that Pakistan's stability is good for Jammu and Kashmir, but I think it's absolutely wrong. I do not think Pakistan's stability actually adds anything to J&K. In fact, history has shown, our data has shown, and events have shown that as and when Pakistan was strong economically, Jammu and Kashmir bore the brunt, Punjab bore the brunt because of cross-border terrorism. They had so much money, they were flush with arms and money from
they had American
US,
money.
American money, that it came to J&K, and it really disrupted in fact broke apart the entire social fabric, and that has affected not just people of Jammu and Kashmir. Remember that it's our Indian armed forces who've been giving sacrifices. Our troops have been killed in terror attacks. We have continuously fought on those frontiers. So we should not think that Pakistan's economic stability or even otherwise is going to be helpful for J&K. It is actually dangerous for J&K.
All right. With that, thank you so much for joining us to talk about it, Aarti Tikku. The kind of development that is being pursued